What do the arts look like from spiral dynamic stages orange, green, yellow, and turquoise? Today I'm going to be sharing some of my spiral dynamics analysis of the arts. If you are interested in learning more about this, you can check out some of my previous videos on spiral dynamics in general and my video just prior to this one, which was the beginning of this analysis and included stages purple, red, and blue, all focused on the arts. I give lots of examples of the arts at each of these stages, as well as a brief overview. So I'm not going to go into any more detail about spiral dynamics. You can check out those other videos. If you want that overview, I'm just going to get right into reading the analysis that I have from my book. My book is coming out in the fall of 2023. It's called Soul Force Arts, The Vital Role of Musicians and Artists in Creating a More Beautiful World. And this is from chapter 7 on spiral dynamics in the arts, in which I go into great detail into what do the arts look like from different stages of human development. So here we go. Orange, modern, competitive, entrepreneurial, being the best. Motto, I manifest myself through artful calculation. All right, and so now, just as a overview of what I'm going to be sharing in each of these, for each of these stages, including orange, the one I'm on right now. I'm going to be sharing some basics. I'm going to be sharing how an orange society views the arts, contemporary manifestations in the arts, what mistakes and success look like, and some more examples of orange level arts or green level arts or whatever else. So here we go. Orange is all about achievement, autonomy, and a focus on improvement. Its worldview is that the world is full of possibilities for improvement and to make things better. Morally, orange is individualistic, and because its circle of concern extends to all humans, it is the first stage to recognize universal human rights. Orange is at its best in its innovation, curiosity, and autonomy. Pragmatism, reliance on rationality over mindless dogma, and its entrepreneurial spirit. Orange is at its worst in its lack of emotional connection, opportunism, self-promotion, and lack of concern for others or the environment. Orange first developed about 300 years ago and currently comprises 25 to 30% of the world's population. How orange societies view the arts. Orange societies see the emergence of secular arts. Artists are seen as individuals who are striving for success in their field, whether through seeking status, money, fame, or otherwise making their mark. Orange arts institutions are driven by the bottom line and tend to focus on sales, technical advancements, and breaking with stuffy traditions. Contemporary manifestations in the arts. In contemporary arts contexts, orange shows up as a focus on individual achievement, enthusiasm, a desire for success through innovation, competitions, desire for profit, showy repertoire, glitz and glamour, gaining social or professional status via technical virtuosity, a focus on monetary or illegal aspects of the arts industry, self-development, a focus on technique that more or less ignores the heart, science-based practice or warm-up methods, the use of trial and error to achieve the best results, pragmatically achieving results in order to move ahead, the development of talent, teaching as mentorship, quote, SMART goals, trial and error, a flexible and fun attitude, achievement awards, and the use of games in teaching to achieve results. Mistakes and success. To orange, mistakes are irritating glitches on the road to self-improvement, from which there is no longer a strong moral valence. So in orange, in other words, unlike previous stages, mistakes don't have like a moral character, like good or bad. Orange understands that mistakes happen, but also tends to denigrate people who make mistakes as losers. Someone at orange, upon seeing a mistake, might say, "I don't like the way you did that," For orange, success belongs to those who take risks and who are self-reliant. Orange is very focused on success and achievement in general. The primary emotions around mistakes are fear and anger. And here are some more examples of orange in the arts. The modern recording industry, the use of the arts in advertisements and other corporate contexts, the idea of popular art and music, the emergence of for-profit art, the idea of arts as entertainment, artists as celebrities, the violinist Niccolo Paganini, the flight of the bumblebee, concertos, the use of perspective, anything science or research-based, the idea that the arts are good for the brain, competitions, anything high-tech, techno, bebop, music, photorealism, technical drawings, copyright laws, the question, but will it sell? Top 40 radio, electronic amplification, a focus on an artist's image or brand, the use of profanity in lyrics, comedy as a profession, and selling out. Okay. So that is orange. We're now going to take a look at green. Just give me a moment here to get ready. Okay. Get a sip of coffee here too. Green, postmodern. Group focus, ideals, social. Motto, I sacrifice myself now to be accepted by the group. Basics. Green is all about peace, love, inclusivity, and sensitivity. Its worldview is that the world is a habitat where humanity can find love and purpose through connection, sharing, and caring. Morally, green is collectivist, and its circle of concern extends to all living beings and to the most marginalized people. Green is at its best in its sensitivity, compassion, multiculturalism, egalitarianism, idealism, and tolerance. Green is at its worst in its woolly-headedness, patronizing attitude, tendency towards ideological fervor, fear of setting boundaries, and, paradoxically, intolerance of intolerance. Green first developed about 150 years ago and currently comprises about 10% of the world's population. How green societies view the arts. Green postmodern societies view the arts as mediums of self-expression and tend to denigrate technique, tradition, and especially achievement. Green societies emphasize non-hierarchical and multicultural arts contexts and elevate heart over technique, but not always, as is seen with post-tonal music or abstract art. Contemporary manifestations in the arts include a focus on expressing feelings, building consensus, shared experiences, breaking down barriers, questioning all traditions, viewing the development of technique as potentially oppressive and exclusionary, fear of appearing to show off. Green displays just feel it man kind of attitude, practicing and creating as an opportunity for self-expression and an investment in the self, and an idealistic approach, the idea of artistic practice leading to personal growth and development, a greater social awareness, a focus on feeling good, a preference for collaboration rather than competition, a preference to engage in explorations instead of exercises, teaching as a mutual understanding and discovery rather than a didactic one-way transmission of knowledge, just like when the teacher says, in every lesson I learn just as much as my students. That's very green. Green also shows up as a sensitivity to different learning styles and abilities, including emotions as part of the learning process, being a great listener, an ability of the teacher to show vulnerability, putting things into perspective, participation awards, wellness-oriented pedagogy, and a heart-centered approach overall. Mistakes and success. For Green, mistakes are viewed with ambivalence. On the one hand, Green can clearly tell when something is wrong according to traditional standards, but it also tends to overlook mistakes due to not wanting to hurt anybody's feelings. When seeing a mistake, someone at Green might say, "That's okay, let's just try again." For Green, success happens when everyone feels good or has been included. Green is also the first stage to view mistakes as potentially creative opportunities. Green's primary emotions related to mistakes are fear, shame, and to some extent, curiosity. Examples in the arts: drum circles, jam sessions, non-judgmental improvisation classes, multicultural arts events, song circles, atonal and post-tonal music, John Cage, Jackson Pollock, free jazz, the use of social media, process-oriented pedagogy, such as method acting, the whole genre of world music, atonality, abstract and impressionist painting, improv theater, the play Waiting for Godot, authentic movement, anything mindful, anything new age, anything with spiritual trappings such as incense, candles, robes, crystal singing bowls, etc. Arts activism, civil rights era music, electronic dance music, raves, Burning Man, flash mobs, intuitive drawing, psychedelic art, the band Fish, the Beatles, and the album Kind of Blue. Okay, so orange and green and the other previous stages, purple, red, and blue, all comprise what Claire Graves, the developer of spiral dynamics, called the first tier of spiral dynamics, for the first tier of human consciousness. And I'll get more into the distinction between the first tier and second tier in my next video. But the basic idea is that all the first tier stages, what characterizes them is that they don't really get that other stages have value. They don't really get that there's this evolution of human consciousness that can happen. And what characterizes the second stage then, yellow and turquoise, which I'm going to describe here in a bit, are precisely that they can take into account the evolution of human consciousness in an individual's life and also across time and cultures and societies. So again, I'm going to get more into what exactly is second tier next time. It's fascinating. I love talking about it. But for now, I'm just going to read my descriptions for yellow and turquoise, the two second tier stages, and maybe you'll get a feel for how these are different than the ones that came before. Coffee break. Okay, yellow integral. Visionary, systems thinking, synergy. Its motto: I manifest myself, but not at the cost of others. Just a moment, please. Okay. Basics. Yellow is all about systems thinking, seeing the bigger picture, and self-actualization. Yellow's worldview is that the world is a complex, self-organizing system, and that humanity's role is to create integral solutions for our collective problems. Morally, yellow is individualistic, and its circle of concern extends to the entire Earth, and it can see how its own point of view builds on those of the past, how the consequences of its actions extend deep into the future. Yellow is at its best in its creative innovation, visionary outlook, ability to set aside egoic concerns, ability to resolve paradoxes and polarities, non-judgmentality, nuance, ability to discern what is relevant or irrelevant, and access to universal consciousness. Yellow is at its worst in its overemphasis on complicated intellectual systems and maps, perceived aloofness, and tendency to get lost in its compelling daydreams. Yellow first developed about 50 years ago and currently comprises about 1 to 5% of the world's population. How yellow societies view the arts. Yellow societies view the arts as an emergent property of a society that are both the cause and effect of that society's evolution into greater levels of complexity and consciousness. In this view, artists are agents of individual and collective self-actualization, playing many playing many vital integrating functions such as bringing people together and tapping into the self-healing power of the body. Yellow artists are the first to fully integrate what had previously seemed separate: head and heart, body and mind, and the personal and collective. Contemporary manifestations in the arts. In contemporary arts contexts, Yolo views performance as an act of the devotion to beauty that is the expression of the whole performer: body, mind, soul, and spirit. The full integration of emotion and technique, the ability to continually sense and monitor the body during the creative act, the ability to include and adjust to the energy of the audience in real time, the creation of purpose-driven projects, the use of multiple forms of technology to create an engrossing experience, valuing knowledge and competency over status and rank, the disappearance of fear growing beyond approval seeking, the idea of practicing and creating as acts of self-actualization, an approach to teaching that takes account of the student's developmental stage, the pursuit of learning for its own sake, an attitude of flexibility, spontaneity, and functionality, the creation of new models and systems to help students better understand, practice, and grow, the balance of well-being and excellence, the ability to resolve paradoxes, such as how to instill internal motivation in students without forcing them to practice, open-mindedness, clarity, constructive criticism, and the ability to make choices based on a larger context or transcendent vision. Okay, mistakes and success. Yellow no longer views mistakes as a problem to be avoided, but as genuine learning opportunities. Albert Einstein's quote, "A person who never makes mistakes has never tried anything new," is highly characteristic of Yellow's open acceptance of mistakes as a part of a lifelong learning process, as is the common jazz musician's advice to, quote, make it sound like you meant to do it. For Yellow, success belongs to the most competent, who are rewarded for taking the right approach or process and not necessarily for getting the right answers. Yellow's primary emotions around mistakes are frustration and curiosity. Here are a few more examples in the arts. Yellow is still fairly new, so there aren't many examples in the arts, but here are a few. The use of the Alexander technique in the arts, the use of the arts for eliciting certain states of mind, the pedagogical approach El Sistema, the Society for Artistic Research in Weimar, Germany, David Lynch's film pedagogy, the book Free Play by Stephen Nekmanovich, the book Gödel Escher Bach by Douglas Hofstadter, the ability to draw on many styles for use at appropriate moments, the full integration of internet-age technology into the creative process, the TV show Star Trek, where each race is based on a different spiral dynamics level, Gandalf the Grey from The Lord of the Rings, and the Soul Force Arts approach. Okay, bringing it home here with Turquoise. Whole view, the holistic cosmic consciousness. Its motto is, I manifest myself for the benefit of an existential reality. Basics. Turquoise is all about the interbeing of self and cosmos, reverence for all of life, transpersonal perspectives, and experiencing the wholeness of existence through mind and spirit. Its worldview is that the world is a single, intricately balanced organism that is now in jeopardy in humanity's hands. Morally, Turquoise is collectivist, and its circle of concern extends to the entire universe, and is primarily concerned with participation in the harmony of all things through all time. Historically, Turquoise can be seen at the core of many of the great wisdom traditions. The teachings of certain luminaries and sages, but as a matter of a more widespread phenomenon, it is now emerging. It is emerging only now, Turquoise is at its best and is focused on searching for pragmatic, planetary solutions that serve all life on Earth. Its relentless compassion and its ability to see the world and cosmos as one, as well as its effortlessness. Turquoise is at its worst in its otherworldly qualities, when it gets stuck in spiritual consciousness and when it is unable to become grounded in practical day-to-day realities. It currently comprises about 1/10 of 1% of the world's population. Or, excuse me, 1/100 of 1%. How society views the arts. How a turquoise society views the arts. Turquoise societies are extremely rare, but those that exist view the arts as manifestations of spirit and vehicles for mystical union with all there is. From this perspective, artists act as agents of healing and harmony by participating in the flow of life force energy that runs through them. Turquoise artists serve a greater cause and are energetically attuned to all life. They are community-oriented and can, as William Blake put it, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour, to see the world in a grain of sand and the heavens in a wildflower. Contemporary manifestations in the arts. In contemporary arts contexts, turquoise shows up as the view that the creative act is a meditation, contemplation, or prayer. For example, praying music rather than playing music. The use of art to elevate the consciousness of all humanity, the transmission of the artist's state of consciousness to the audience, a focus on the transcendent and the sublime, flow states and other altered states of consciousness, complete effortlessness, being a vessel for your art, the view that art facilitates the evolution of the self, the integration of instinctive, cognitive, emotional, energetic, and spiritual modes of learning, technical and expressive skill that verges on the miraculous, the integration of scientific and spiritual approaches, the, quote, freedom on the other side of complexity, end quote, the view of teaching as a process of guiding students into humanity's deepest wisdom, the ability to call on the full potential of the healing power of the arts, the ability to integrate and use information from any source, the ability to bring the past alive and show students and audiences their place in the grand scheme of things, a childlike playfulness, and an attitude of spontaneity and humility, and finally, a lightheartedness that comes from deeply seeing the natural flow of things. Mistakes and success. For turquoise, the whole framing of mistakes and success seems simplistic and naive. That being said, turquoise can clearly and penetratingly see what works and what doesn't, and has compassion for the pain of not reaching one's goals. Turquoise views mistakes as creative gifts from the universe, no longer assigning praise or blame to the separate self. Turquoise also has the ability to, quote, jujitsu any problems or challenges that come along, turning what at first seemed like a mistake into a success. Turquoise experiences feedback from the outer world as reflections of the inner world. For example, when seeing that things aren't working as desired, turquoise will ask, what is it in me that doesn't want to reach this goal? Success for turquoise goes beyond seeing the benefit of any one individual or society, beyond any polarized worldview, and happens when individual or collective action is aligned with the enrichment of life itself. The primary emotions related to mistakes are curiosity, compassion, and the joy of discovery. Examples of turquoise in the arts. Many of the most transcendent works of art, even those created hundreds of years ago, exhibit turquoise characteristics. For example, Chartres Cathedral, the Temple of Luxor, the Taj Mahal, Bach's Mass in C minor, the late Beethoven string quartets, Ravi Shankar, John Coltrane's album A Love Supreme, devotional art and music aimed at industrial-grade spiritual practice, as opposed to faddish, new agey pseudo-practices. Music and the Soul, the book Music and the Soul by Kurt Leland, the book Mysticism of Sound and Music by Hazrat Inayat Khan, Alex Gray's paintings, Corey Enk's digital art, the film Koyaanisqatsi, M.C. Escher, Buckminster Fuller, the great wisdom tradition texts that blend spirituality and art, such as the Tao Te Ching, the Bhagavad Gita, the poetry of Jalaluddin Rumi, and the Soul Force Arts approach. Whew, okay. I know that's a lot of information. Thanks for sticking with me through all of that. I hope you find it helpful or at least intriguing to hear these examples and perspectives. And I bet that you can get a feeling for the flavor of each of these spiral dynamic stages. And that's really my hope in sharing all this with you, so that when you hear the flavor of like the stages that you have already developed through, you might feel, for example, like, oh, I'm so done with that, or like, how naive, or how simplistic to view whatever the world in that way. And when you hear about the developmental level that about matches where you are right now, your own spiral dynamic stage, then it'll just seem right. Like, oh yeah, of course that's the way the world is. Of course that's the way the arts should be. And if you hear about stages that are beyond your current level, you might on one hand think like, oh, how idealistic, how head in the clouds that is. Or it might also be inspirational to you, and maybe seem a bit out of your grasp. So all this to say, I really hope that you do focus on your own personal development as an artist. It is so key to tapping into your soul force, to becoming more well and more whole, and to creating beautiful, compelling, spine-tingling, inspiring art. It starts with you. So please do stay tuned for my next videos. I'm going to do maybe just one or two more on spiral dynamics, then I'm going to move on to some other subjects. But I really think it's important, and it's such a fascinating way of looking at the world. So this is why I'm spending time on it. Okay, you can check out my website, josepharnold.com. I'm going to be putting up a new website soon at the same URL, josepharnold.com. Please sign up for my newsletter. I'm going to be releasing on my new website. It's going to be going to host my book when that comes out, and it's also going to host new courses that I'm going to be leading. I'm going to start a bi-weekly online class, and that's going to be affordable and a lot of fun. So stay tuned for all of that and more. I'll see you next time.